We are back for another State of the Franchise. And man, this time last week, we were just starting to hear some things about brand. And as we fast forward, BA's paid, Trent Williams is paid. Obviously, some other things have gone down as well. We'll get into all of it because it's State of the Franchise. So that's what we do here. You guys already know what to do. Drop your spicy sourdoughs in the chat. Let's get to it. That's Jason Aponte. I'm Brad Graham. We're going to get into it all right now. Man, I just got to keep taking deep breaths because we're sitting here on a Wednesday. 49ers actual football will be kicking off on Monday for the whole world to see. And as always, Jason, how are the vibes over there on the East Coast?
We made it, Brad. We made it. Football starts tomorrow. There's a football game Friday. There's college football Saturday. There's a full slate of football Sunday that 49er fans don't have to worry about, and the 49ers start on Monday. But we made it. And we've been complaining all offseason about speaking about hypotheticals and things that have nothing to do with football. But now we get to break down an actual football game that's about to happen. We made it. We made it. That's all I want to say is all of us. We all made it. Everyone watching this, you, we made it. And the focus should be on immediately breaking down this football game on Monday because there's not much else to talk about that's outside of it.
You sure about that?
Well, all right. First of all, real quick. And Brad and I haven't done a show in a while since
last week, since last Wednesday, since
right.
all of this stuff has gone down.
Right. So it's been a lot, but I think we would be remiss in our duties without extending thoughts, well wishes, and a quick recovery for Ricky Pearsall in a completely unfortunate situation. That's the only thing that I can do. That's the only thing that I care about is whether he's good and he's okay. Football, for now, takes a back seat to just his recovery. And hearing from Tim Ryan and other people that he's doing well is great. But today still isn't the day to stop saying, hey, Ricky Pearsall, we still are thinking about you, man, and we still want you to be good, and we still hope that everything is the best for you. That's all that matters. There's no other discussion that needs to be had, in my opinion, Brad.
It really is a nightmare scenario that had the best possible ending that we could have gotten, right? Obviously, when something like that happens, we put football to the side. We focus on the person, we focus on his family and his friends, and just how scary of a situation that was. That was the first thing that I like when I saw it. I wasn't like, is he going to be available week one? That wasn't my thought. I'm just like, man, just please be okay. Like, just please be. If it means that you can't play ball ever again, but you're gonna live, I'm okay with that based on the circumstances, right? Obviously not the ideal outcome, but based on the circumstances, that's all that mattered. And so as we kind of fast forward now a couple days, less than 24 hours in the hospital, 48 hours is back in the facility. I mean, can you talk about a miracle, man? Just how everything played out. Shout out to the sergeant on scene who acted quickly and was there in less than a minute. Just how everything played out. Shout out to John Lynch for going and visiting, Ricky in the hospital. Shout out to the teammates and everyone for getting on that FaceTime. And man, I think I heard John Lynch talk about that in the presser yesterday. I got emotional, man, because it's like, there's so much going on. Brandon Aiyuk drama, Trent Williams drama, and then this happens, and it just changes the perception, right? Mm-hmm. Well, do you think that inside that locker room, when the weight of a Super Bowl loss, the weight of these contract negotiations, and reporters asking you nonstop questions, do you think that can actually kind of realign a mindset of an entire team, maybe even a franchise, of just like what's really important right now?
100%. And it puts things in perspective. Football is a game that we all enjoy. Football is a game that we all love to use as a distraction. Football is a game that we love to entrench ourselves in. But when you hear Trent Williams say, that kind of pushed me to help lead this team, yes, I hate, I don't want it to come off weird. Something so terrible could galvanize a team, but it's still a terrible, awful situation. And I don't want it to be used as in any way as like some sort of positive or something that like people will look at and say, well, this was like, no, I think it speaks to the camaraderie with the team. And I think they all love each other regardless of like how it is. And I think it speaks to the culture. But just remember, football's a game. We're passionate about it. We like speaking about it. We entrench ourselves in it. But it's still just a game. And life is bigger than that. So I think it could put in perspective for a lot of guys like, yes, you lost a Super Bowl. People are disappointed. But my God, man, things can get way worse.
Exactly.
And right now, this can be something that the guys can just say, you know what? I love my teammate. I love my team. I want to be, I want to wrap my arms around it. And it will only just galvanize a bunch in terms of like camaraderie. And again, at the end of the day, losing a Super Bowl is small potatoes in terms of someone possibly losing their lives in an unfortunate situation. That's it.
100%. And I'm really happy the way things have panned out. Obviously, if we do transition to the football side of things, he got put on the NFI list. He has the opportunity to return week 5 against Arizona. That's a home game too, Jason. If you want to talk about galvanizing,
Or vibes.
I can absolutely speak for the fan base based on all the comments that I've seen on all my platforms. These fans are going to go crazy the second Ricky Pearsall steps on that field. And mind you, Jason, it will be the first time. We haven't seen Ricky in preseason. The faithful haven't seen Ricky step onto that field. So not only is the anticipation going to be high,
Mm-hmm.
but boy, everyone is so happy for Rick, right? Everyone is so happy that he can make it out of this. And the fact that he can play football this season, that's just the cherry on top, right? We're just happy that this guy survived something that is I don't even know. I'm not a medical expert, so I'm not going to pretend like I am. But I would say more often than not, you're not walking away from that. So just an amazing situation, and of how it's played out. Obviously, not how it happened, but I do think that when you look at everyone's response to it, I really did appreciate what Trent had to say. Of like, all right, man, I think I need to get out there again. I just think it speaks to, we say it all the time and it might come across cliche, and we're talking about a billion-dollar business at times, but football is family, man. I've been in
Always.
those locker rooms. I've been on a team of guys who have fought all summer and went through spring ball, went through camp, went through everything. There's something to be said about a group of guys who are just like all in tune mentally with the same kind of mindset. And so when I think of how they're going to transition into Monday Night Football, I think there's going to be a different level of attack when it comes to mindset. They understand, there was a motto that I played with, which was play every play like it's your last. I would say that is more relevant now than ever because of what their teammate Ricky went through. And so I do think you're going to see a collective group of, I think it was 46 active players on game day playing like it's their last. And you have arguably the best roster in football with that mentality. I'm getting charged up just thinking about it, Jason.
Yeah, and I think again, I hate to simplify it to this, and I don't want this to come off wrong, but when something puts in perspective how fragile things are, and guys are like fighting for like $1 million contracts and all that stuff, and at the same time, that's still your god, right? And the reason this team has been able to continue to get close is because they all love each other and believe in each other. This could be something that would take the pressure away from the idea of like Super Bowl hangover, whatever it is. It's just guys playing for each other. And I
Yeah.
think that's what the culture has always been. So I wouldn't be shocked, even if, Trent hasn't been here and BA hasn't been here and McCaffrey's, first, obviously we're going to talk about all the good stuff going on as well, too.
Mhm.
But sometimes you need that little reminder that anything can happen at any moment, and cherishing everything that you have in front of you. And I think that's why it was kind of poignant for Trent to talk about leading this team after the shooting with Pearsall, and security, and like how volatile things are. Just because you've played 16 years doesn't mean that somebody else does. But seeing someone rally back from that, and it's part of the camaraderie, it could. I'm not trying to turn this into a positive. I want to remain stout and let you know all I care about is that Ricky Pearsall is alive, well, and able to do normal things. If he plays football, even better. But if
Right.
not, all I care about is what's really important: his health, his well-being, his recovery. And I think that's the way that all of us should look at this.
All right. So now that we set the stage, let's talk about the not so important contract negotiations that have gone down. So we're done with those. Thank goodness. Trent gets paid yesterday. Obviously, that's the huge news. Again, we were finding out while on live last week that BA was about to get paid. And so
No, wait
now
a
that
minute. We did a live, and then we got off, and then all of a sudden Brandon Aiyuk broke. So whether it's right before we do a show or right after, something always crazy kind of
something
happens.
right, exactly, 100%. And so it was funny. We even did a show a couple weeks ago. We're like, all right, we haven't done a show in a while. Let's do one. Let's test the theory.
Right. You were like, I'm gonna screenshot this just in case.
But with that situation finally being over, obviously Trent getting the big time 3-year deal, Brandon Aiyuk getting the 4-year deal. What's kind of your, as we finalize this, because I don't think we need to talk about this much more after this conversation that we have.
Mhm.
What's kind of your final thoughts on the totality of both negotiations and how they've finished?
Never a doubt. We're so fucking back. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to curse. Oh, my bad. I know it's an early show or whatever. We're so back. Never a doubt. We're
Live.
so back. We're so back. The vibes are through the roof in terms of those things, right? And regardless of whatever state you feel that Trent Williams is going to be in week 1, or Brandon Aiyuk, or even Christian McCaffrey, right? Because he hasn't taken a snap at all, right? Like, in anything. That this team is better equipped to win week 1 with those 3 guys. Now, you could make the case the San Francisco 49ers could win, maybe without them. Maybe. But now you feel better about it. And then you get off to a good start with a win on Monday, which I'm predicting. And then you get this soft part of the schedule where everybody can kind of round back into shape. And you start to look at when the schedule gets tougher. And the 49ers could be looking at like a 4-1, 5-0, best case scenario, record before they get into their hard part of the schedule. But yeah, the vibes are high, man. I mean, you look at Trent Williams and you think about this, right? And everyone's saying, I wonder how the locker room is going to perceive this. Every person has gone out of their way to talk about how much they love Trent and how much a leader he is. And he's on there dapping people up like as soon as he gets on the field. And so many people are happy, right? I think everyone understands that their contract situation is their own. And everyone has to do what they have to do. And for all of the talk, can you do this? Well, Aiyuk's been a Steeler. He's been a Brown. He's been a Patriot. He's been a Montreal, Argonaut, whatever, or Toronto Argonaut, whatever it is. Like, and he's a 49. Trent, he might miss. No, Trent's back. Like, yes, it's not ideal It's probably not how you wanted to do these things, but all things considered, heading into week 1, the San Francisco 49ers are largely healthy with everybody back. Obviously, Dre Greenlaw's not going to be there. We'll find out about Hufanga. But how could you not be happy right now with what's going on, man? Like, there's a lot of reasons to be happy. And then look at my man, like, Kyle's out here walking around with a cane like Mr. Peanuts, like like the vibes are through the roof, man, right now. And I think again, for all of the negativity that we've had all offseason, why wouldn't you sit here right now and at least just smile a little bit with the way things have been going?
I can't lie. This picture gave me life. Just kind of seeing BA, Kyle next to each other. I mean, I had some questions. I was like, man, is it going to be Doghouse 2.0? Is Aiyuk going to put Kyle in his doghouse now? What's it going to be like? And to see these guys just kind of vibing, enjoying themselves, I'm like, all right, we're good.
Rick Ross too. He's like, the coach is here. Ace of Pears. I was like, all right, man. I was like, why is Rick Ross there? Like, in Cali at Kyle Shanahan's crib, who invited Rick Ross? That's the question that I have.
That is a good question. I'm like,
wouldn't it be somebody who's like in Cali, like E40, or like to have Rick Ross from the 305, like him, like he's like from Miami. Like, why is he there?
I feel like they had like, oh, who was it? It was like 2 Chainz last year. It was like something.
Oh, that makes sense. Well, but 2 Chainz kind of reps the Niners a little bit. I want to know this. This is what I want to know. Yeah, Kyle's a Rick Ross fan, but Kyle named his son Carter. I understand Lil Wayne is a huge Green Bay Packers fan, but you can't get him over and come kick it.
Lil Wayne, I think Lil Wayne performed at both Super Bowl loss parties.
All right, he's banned then. He's done.
I know for a fact he performed in Miami. I believe he was in Vegas as well.
Yeah.
So
he's done. He's done.
They're probably like the last time we saw a performer with this group, it was Lil Wayne. We're like, we're done with that PTSD now.
My next suggestion is you bring Future.
People were saying, like, what if Kendrick pulled up?
Kendrick, oh man, oh no. So then that's rude because then Drake's gonna be like, I'm betting against the 49ers in every game.
Good. We want Drake betting against the 49ers. I feel like whenever he goes Niners, it turns out bad. We don't want that Drake curse around here. Yeah. No, but it's funny though. But I do think that with a summer of what the outside would perceive as drama, again, I think fans just have a completely disconnected reality of how these players perceive these things, because you hear Trent and he's already campaigning for Brock Purdy to go get every cent. That's how they think. Like, oh, I bet these players are looking at BA and Trent like they're selfish. No, they're like, yes, dude. Like, again, I've talked about it. I've showed this image multiple times. I don't know if we've done it on this show, but I keep making How to Train Your Dragons references.
I love it. I've never seen it.
You've never seen it?
Yeah, I know. You got me. You finally got me.
No, this is impossible.
I've never seen any of the How to Train.
That's normally me saying I've never.
I know. You got me. You got me this time. You got me.
All right. Well, I'm gonna need you to get Averly and
get on it.
Gonna need
and
to
hop on it
and watch this.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. But you can
Dumper.
That's a big Bama Jamma right there, right?
You got it. I'll get on the references 100%.
So this is the Alpha Dragon, right? You've got Toothless. Someone in one of the comments said that's Brock. The dragon right here at the bottom said that's Brock. He's kind of like the alpha of the smaller dragons, I guess you could say. But I keep making this reference because that was the guy who didn't show up. That was the guy who held out. That was the guy who really set the tone of these negotiations by not showing up. I think he incurred I heard so it was like $5 million in fines or something like that on principle. Right? So it's like these guys, they don't perceive at all anything close to how fans perceive these negotiations. It's just how it goes. And I don't expect fans to, right? I don't expect fans to have the same mindset because they're not the ones who are trying to get generational money for their family based on their job. But it's just part of the territory. It's part of the state of the NFL. And honestly, it's becoming it's becoming a huge part of college football now with NIL. So it's just football. Football is a business. It's how it works. So I know there's a lot of times we want to romanticize football, and there's plenty of time to do so. But I think it's also you have to understand the other side of the coin, that this is a business. And sometimes, Jason, as you know, it's a business first over what's going down on the field. So
It's always a
I don't know.
business first, Brad. You know, it's always a business first. Again, like I'll always ask a fan, when you see someone going for their contract and you're like, well, why so much money? Why? Okay. When that player is no longer able to perform for you either physically because of injuries or just however, you'd be yelling for that young man or, that veteran to be cut. So why should they care, about this when it comes to the game don't love you back? When you're useless, they will discard you like a paper cup because that's just how it goes. So expect them to try to insulate themselves and capitalize on the short time that they have money. And I think, again, it's not personal against fans, it's personal for themselves. And I think that's a fair way to look at it easily.
Absolutely. So thankfully, both of those things are over with. Did you have any concerns with the deals that they got, the payment they got,
I don't.
and you
No, no,
care
I
care
don't,
about the
Brad.
structure?
Brad, I don't, because we go through this every single season about how can you pay this person, and then you see Malik Collins restructures. You see that they restructured Deebo Samuel, which I also want to start that conversation. Does that lead you to believe that the dead cap hit has dropped a little bit further? I think we kind of thought Deebo Samuel was a little bit of an afterthought going into next year. Is there a world where Deebo Samuel finds himself on this team as well, even with a Brock Purdy extension, based on the way they're maneuvering? All of this money that they have right now is, like, for the record, I just want to make sure I say it, is going to be rolled over.
Right.
It's to be
I think it's
rolled
over
over.
60 mil in cap space, right?
Right,
And they're going to flip that into next year.
right. So
Just like
they'll
they did,
use,
they did that last year. Remember, they
right.
started restructuring a bunch of guys and they rolled it over into the following year.
And it does leave them open if they want to make a move like a Chase Young. You can. You can.
Right.
You don't necessarily need it, but you can go as you have this money to kind of just be there, right? Like, just in case. So I don't get wrapped up in, oh my God, you paid this guy. What's gonna mean, because they somehow find a way. Next year, they're gonna have to make tough decisions. Is Javon Hargrave gonna be here? Is Juice gonna be on this roster? What do you do with Lenore and Ward? But they'll find a way to put out the best product on the field. And as long as you have the offense and the pieces, because Christian McCaffrey's not going anywhere, neither is Trent Williams. George Kittle's not going anywhere. Brandon Aiyuk's not going anywhere. Now, possibly with this restructure, Deebo Samuel might not be going anywhere. Regardless of the losses that you have, you can cover those warts up on offense. So I think we're at a point where 49er fans, unless you're really in tune with the cap, it's
Stop
hard
pocket
for you.
watching.
Yeah, it's hard for you to sit there and say, well, they can't pay everybody, when we look at it year after year and teams look at us like, how are they still paying people? And I think, again, we have to let the people who are paid to do that. Now, I've been critical of Parag, Jed, right? Like, in this process, because of, whatever it is that I formulated in my own head and opinion. But somehow every year they find a way to run out a team that is considered to be NFC Championship contenders, Super Bowl contenders, whatever it is. And at some point, we got to let them do their jobs. And we just got to stop, like, asking them questions that we don't even know the answer to. And somehow they just continue to make it work. So until it doesn't, it's almost like don't fix what's not broken type thing.
Right. So I think if we look at the money, right, in this year, it significantly reduced the cap hit to about
Yep.
12.7. So I think it was like a $16 million savings. But his dead cap hit is 41.5 for this season. If you look at it next year, his dead cap is almost effectively 31 million pre June 1st. Post June 1st, the dead cap shifts to 2.7. So pretty significant situation. The way that I'm kind of reading that is, and there's void years in 26, 27, and 28. So do you think that, I don't know if they would trade or cut post June 1st. I don't know, because we knew they did that with Eric Armstead, right? And
you
again,
can do that with players and just say after June 1st,
right?
These numbers, like you
They
don't have
could
to wait
announce
till
it
June 1st.
They could announce it months ahead of time,
right? And then you can allow him to go fetch a deal somewhere else, and then that's what happened with Armstead. The money came out later, so again, the decision doesn't have to be made. It's not like they're sitting there waiting for midnight to hit on June 1st and have to make a deal, because that is too late. But if you designate it that way, then you have your cap savings and all that stuff too as well. So yeah,
can you do a post June 1st trade? Does that work?
I mean, everybody thought Brandon Aiyuk was about to be at Pittsburgh, including some dog on the internet and Cam Marino. And
if you announced a trade of Deebo, again, hypothetically, just trying to
I see what you're saying.
Trying to make sense of the options available. Could you announce it in like May, and then it doesn't kick in till June?
I'm gonna say no, but I don't know like what the finer points of the details would be in such situation, and I don't know if we have precedent for somebody else trying that.
Right.
So I guess that's kind of like, kind of how I feel.
Yeah, so I'll never pretend to be a cap expert. I'm always
I don't want
to reference someone other than that's just not my wheelhouse. So I do my best based on the years of talking about this. Obviously, we learn stuff along the way, so we can dip our toe into the water. We're not going to make any grandiose statements, but the thing to look out for in 2025 is pre-June 1st, he has a $31 million dead cap. Post June 1st, it's 2.7. So a significant drop off. Do they make a change? Do they not? I have no idea, but I do think I think it feels like it locks him in for this year for sure, right? Like why would you give him all that money up front just to kick him out the room in 8 weeks, So I think Deebo's earned it too, right?
And Kyle loves Deebo.
Yes.
So
Deebo looks more motivated than I think I've ever seen.
Oh, I mean, I was asked on a season prediction show yesterday who's going to have the best offensive season, and I didn't even hesitate. It's going to be Deebo Samuel. Yeah. One way or another. It was right after
this conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, year?
Yeah. It's a contract year. This feels like one of those years.
It's a contract year, 100%.
Yeah, like one way or another. If Deebo's playing here, if Deebo's playing somewhere else or auditioning for someone else, you can't go to the table without a crazy good season. And he comes in, he's been there, mini camp, OTAs, everything, training camp. He's in the best shape of his life. That number one number, the sauce on the number one number, you got to start throwing that into the equation. Yeah, it's got to be Deebo Samuel.
He's looking over here seeing like, how much of these wide receivers are getting paid now? I'm underpaid at 23.
And you've never done what Deebo's done. Deebo has carried an entire team in his backpack.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not talking about he had a dominant season. I'm not talking about, he was really good. I am talking about every single play that the 49ers needed in that season was from Deebo Samuel. In the Green Bay game, on 3rd and 9, you run a draw to Deebo Samuel to set up the game-winning field goal, and he does it. 2021 Deebo's different.
He probably saved Garoppolo's starting job in that Chicago game before halftime.
Dude, where were you when Deebo Samuel saved the 49ers season on October 31st?
Yeah.
It
was dire straits. It
was really bad. And I remember I was in that game in Chicago. Trey Lance was warming up Kyle told Jimmy, this is simple shit. Figure it out. And then you throw a swing pass to Deebo, and everything changes. And then the Niners just go on a roll. Where were you when Deebo Samuel saved the 49ers season in 2021 and then continued to do all that? I expect something in terms of numbers. I doubt it's hard to get there because you have so many other things. But I expect the season of like anytime they need a big play that it'll come from Deebo.
I don't know how to predict his yardage because I think it could be rush yards, it could be end arounds. We've seen a lot of end arounds in training camp and stuff like that. It could be slants. However, you just get the ball to Deebo, right? That's the name of the game. Get the ball into Deebo's hands. He's going to do the rest. So it's hard to kind of project out like yardage wise, but he feels like he could be a touchdown magnet, kind of like he could be putting up 12 touchdowns.
Or just big plays, like on third down, right? Like on a third down, like where you just throw a swing pass and you ask them, Deebo, break 12 tackles and get to the 10, like that type of season.
Goat.
Yeah, like that type of season. I mean, like numbers don't bear everything out. And this is the same thing that I'll say about Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's progression isn't going to be in the numbers. It's going to be in switching the line to protections, understanding where the free rusher is, throwing the football at the right time. Like that's where you'll really find whether he's progressing. Numbers aren't going to tell the story. Deebo is not going to touch those numbers that he had in 2021, but the same impact of we need to play Deebo and we're going to jump on your back. I think that is what you're going to see this season.
I got a football question for you.
Yep.
Are we going to see Brock Purdy spraying the ball more often than we have in the past?
I think a little bit more. And I don't want this to turn into like they're turning into a pass first thing because I don't think that's going to be the case as well too. And especially I think in week 1, the key to this game is the running game because the Jets defense last season, run defense last season wasn't exactly
coming into town. They got a key really good defense.
So no, they do, but run defense. They weren't at the top of the league. And I think, again, you want to get everybody involved and you want to get everybody like settled. And I think the 49ers are not going to turn to a pass first team, but there could be closer to a 50-50 split than we've ever seen under Kyle Shanahan. And what does that mean? Does that mean that there's confidence in Brock? I think so. Does that mean that they want to see what Brock can do with this offensive line and these teams before they pay him? I think that's it also. But also, I think everybody's going to be keen to trying to stop the run. I think Brock is smart enough to understand when to run into the teeth of a defense, when not to. That's the progressions we're going to see. So, yes, I could see a more of a push towards passing, but it won't be some 60-40 thing that people are trying to say. I think it'll be closer to 50-50 than it's ever been.
Speaking of the run game, the San Francisco 49ers, the New York Jets defensive line features 2 prominent 49ers legends that were first-round draft picks in Javon Kinlaw and Solomon Thomas. According to the depth chart, Javon Kinlaw is a starter alongside Quinnen Williams. Obviously, we know how good Quinnen Williams is. And then Jermaine Johnson's coming into his own. Mm-hmm. Michael Clemens has been around for a while. And then on top of that, you also have Will McDonald, who's a pass rush specialist, who's really, really good off the edge.
I could have swore they traded for somebody that they should have signed. I mean, imagine not having your player signed before week 1 and having issues, man. Jeez,
there's a big O next to Hassan Reddick's name for
Hassan Reddick. There we go. No, obviously I'm being sarcastic, but yeah, I'm just making fun of the Jets. But no, the Jets have a good defensive line. And their run defense last season wasn't great. So I think the Jets are facing similar questions as the 49ers are. Does the run defense take a little step up? Because everything else you feel good about, right? Like you feel good about the secondary, obviously, for the 49ers, and the secondary for the Jets. All those guys are paid. Sauce, and they just signed Michael Carter II. DJ Reed is an old friend there. Yeah, like their secondary is really good.
Isaiah Oliver. Oh, boy.
Isaiah Oliver. Yeah, old friend alert. We got a lot of old friend alerts, when it came over to this. I do want to point out this. Robert Saleh went out of his way to talk about how well the 49ers have treated him, everything that he's learned. And then he went on and named the players that helped him turn that defense around. And he was like Eric Armstead, Jimmy Ward, Jaquiski Tartt. Like, I think that is really cool. Like, Saleh definitely understands like the influence of everything. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of old friends on the other side. But the Jets face the same similar questions that the 49ers have in terms of, does the run defense, the 49ers don't need to turn into a top 5 run group. If they even improve a little, it just makes them look better. They were already a top 10 defense. But I think those are the questions facing both these teams, is how they do against the run, because they struggled last season.
I'm excited. Obviously, would love to see what the run game looks like with Dominic Pooney inserted into the right guard spot. It's crystal clear he's your starter at right guard. The unofficial depth chart had him as the starting right guard. You know, I know Kyle kind of walked it back a little bit. I was like, oh, well, I haven't really told him yet. But yeah,
what do you mean you haven't told him yet? What are you going to walk into the locker room and tap Pooney on the shoulder and be like, we're starting Spencer Burford? Like, no, you're not going to say that. You're not saying that. So stop.
And we expect Banks to be back, Brendel to be out there. So, and of course, Trent Williams back in the lineup. So that's going to be really good. So I'm just really curious to see. I do think they will be passing more often. I think Brock is going to be pushing the ball downfield more often, especially early in the season, opposed to what we saw last year. Because shocking, he's not coming off a insanely crazy elbow surgery on his throwing arm in an incredible amount of time, which seemingly everyone forgot to talk about when they discussed his process through training camp. But I expect him to hit the ground running with everything that I've seen from him in training camp. You could tell the timing was still getting there the first couple practices, but just like we know, Jason, once you start to build that rhythm and you start to get on time, you started to see Brock dropping dimes all over the place. Now, obviously, we didn't see that with Brandon Aiyuk in the building. We saw that a lot with Jawan Jennings. With Jawan Jennings, very common theme of training camp, Brock throwing Jawan open. With Deebo showed that he was a threat all over the field, and he would find him. And then, of course, you add Brandon Aiyuk back into that mix. I think it's going to open up the entire offense. And my biggest takeaways from training camp was, damn, they miss Brandon Aiyuk. So I'm really glad that he's back in the fold. What would you have thought of if they brought over Cortland Sutton and traded BA away?
That's not, you didn't make your team better, but it is an established receiver. I think we talked about it. Yeah, we talked about it. I think the one deal that I would have really felt way better about is obviously the Cleveland one, getting Amari Cooper and 2 picks. You would have gotten Cortland Sutton, who is an established receiver, but you didn't improve.
No. You didn't get that separator that you needed. That would have.
No, you got a jump ball guy. You got a jump ball guy that and I don't even contested
more
catch
athletic
guy.
Jawan Jennings.
Right, like a contested catch guy, a little bit further down the field. And I don't think that even fits the skill set. So it's just like, for me, there was never any trade that really made sense. But if it was going to be Amari Cooper with Cleveland and 2 picks, Amari Cooper's washed. I implore you to look up how many catches and yards that he had, and then look at it with Brandon Aiyuk's. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised that they're literally like lock and step, almost the same thing. Amari Cooper can win outside of X,
or just flip on the tape last year.
Right. Well, and he played with 5 quarterbacks last season, and Deshaun Watson stinks. So yeah, no, Cooper's certainly not washed in no form or fashion.
Are there a lot of Jets fans? I really haven't seen too many Jets fans.
Nah. Even like, look, I live right here by New York. Even the Jets fans that I speak with, where I try to be like, hey, things are looking great.
Like Jets, right?
No, I mean, well, I don't know. Look, the way I'll explain it is this. I ask Jet fans, like, hey, look, you guys are looking good, man. I love the acquisition of Mike Williams, and I have like all the, and they'll be like, who cares? We're gonna blow it anyway. Like they like Jets fans are not even excited about this season, and it's just like, yeah, but you're gonna rep the squad Jets gang and look crazy and not be here in the chat again. Like you do this every year. Like even the year with like, oh, Trey Lance is trash, and it's just like, at the end of the day, Jets gang, you are still a Jets fan, and I want to remind you that the Jets haven't been in the playoffs for close to 15 years. I would not, in my opinion, be out here poking my chest out and being like, I'm a Jets fan. I would keep that information to myself. But I understand optimism's at an all-time high September 4th. The Jets stink. And they always will stink. I'm sorry, man. Like, I'm just like, I know you haven't been here for 4 years because I haven't seen you in a long time.
That's what I said. I haven't seen this guy in a long time.
So stop. Like, oh, yeah, so stop. Stop the cap. Stop capping. Remember, you're a Jets fan. We all think you're a great story. And we all are like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if the Jets were cool and good? Relax. Stop. Please, you're still a Jets fan. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what struggles the 49ers have. Look at you. Look at us. I would rather be us. 10 out of 10 days, 5 out of 7 days, twice on Sunday. Stop. Please.
We got a couple super chats. Shout out to JP. New
Hell yeah.
Let's go. We got all Niner with a little bit of a fantasy football question.
Mm-hmm.
Says, hey, y'all, fandom aside, I have BA on my fantasy football team. Should I start him or Xavier Worthy or JSN? I'm worried for the first week back. What do you think?
So at least you have the Xavier Worthy thing with Thursday Night Football. So your best bet is you play Xavier Worthy in your wide receiver spot. Leave your flex spot open always. And I implore people, anybody that's watching this, if you have players on Thursday and you're looking to play them, keep them out of your flex spot. Put them in their proper position. So if you have a wide receiver, put him in wide receiver. Put the guy that you were going to put there in your flex spot just in case. Because you might wake up Friday, oh, he's got a banged up hammy all of a sudden, and now you have a litany of people. Keep your flex spot. It's for flexible. That's what it's called, like for flexible. So start BA, but you'd have to keep him as a flex. If you're going to play Worthy, if you're telling me to rank these guys, I'm starting BA and Worthy. I am not doing the Jackson Smith and Jiba thing week 1. If I have Jackson Smith and Jiba, I want to see. And there's a lot of, I think the Bills wide receiver core is the best way I could put it. I want to see how Curtis Samuel, Keon Coleman, and Khalil Shakir get the ball in week 1 before I start to throw them in my lineup with confidence. With JSN, Tyler Lockett is still there. DK's there, right? Like, you don't know how that's going to go yet. And I think we're all waiting for him to break out. But Xavier Worthy and BA will be the two that I'm starting. But start Xavier Worthy as your wide receiver, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would still, if I had to rank them, I'd go BA, Xavier, JSN, very similar. I would definitely run out BA. I think BA is going to be fine. Obviously, we know 49ers, targets are already a volatile thing. So I understand for sure. But I trust BA right now, I think, more than an unproven Xavier Worthy, even though obviously you look at there's no Hollywood Brown there, so it's going to be Rashee Rice. It's going to be Xavier Worthy. Obviously, you're going to have the tight end there and Isaiah Pacheco, and we know that.
Are we going to call him the tight end from now on? Like, we're not going to say his name no more because I'm with that. Like, no, implement it. So he's the tight end.
I've heard his name too much.
Nice.
Over the last year. I'm just
I love that. Cool. I love that. The tight end. I love that.
Over there. And obviously Xavier Worthy has a shot, but again, it could go one way. It could go really well. I think there's multiple ranges of outcomes with Xavier, whereas I feel just a little bit more confident with BA right now. But yeah, I'm in the same boat with JSN. You're talking
I'll
about
play both.
A number 3 wide receiver, right? I don't think I would kind of consider him in the week 1. It would be between BA and Xavier if I had to pick, and I'm picking BA. But I like that advice about the flex. I've never even thought about that. I think I just learned something. I was like, oh, that's
No, if you have a
really
running back, let's say it's not your stud. Like if you have Christian McCaffrey, you're not worried about whether you're gonna play him, right? But let's say you're between a few players and you're like, damn, he's on a Thursday night game. What do I do? Now, the only way that you can really make this work is if you put him in his spot at, whatever it is, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and you keep that flex spot open because you never know what's going to happen during the week. Some new information might come out. You might even find out that one of your players who was going to be going up against like a shutdown corner, his leg gave out, and now he's not going to play. So now you feel way better about that. You always want to keep your flex spot flexible. Never lock it on a Thursday night game ever.
Smart advice. That's why you go to Aponte for fantasy advice.
Not real advice, fantasy advice.
Said not real advice. All right, we got an interesting set of super chats coming up.
Okay.
So this is gonna spark quite the conversation. Mumbo says 5 Brads versus 3 Apontes. Who would win the fight? Well,
5 Brads. What are we talking? Like, hold on. I don't even like. What are we talking about? Of course. Have you seen this man? Have you seen him? Height don't fight, and it don't matter how tall I am.
Outnumbered, come on, you got to take the numbers in any scenario.
I'm 6'5", but Brad, 5 of them takes one 6'5" guy out. Like, imagine, like, nah, come on, man. We're not doing this, man.
No,
I love the good conversation though. Go for it.
So then he says, I meant 3 Brads versus 3 Apontes.
Same answer. It's still Brad Graham. It's the same answer. Look, don't fight. You got your little reach or whatever, but if Brad gets his hands, if hands get put on any of those Apontes, it's a wrap right there because, it's just done. That's it, man. Again, height helps. Being very tall helps, but you got to have hands to keep that person away because if he gets his hands on you, that weight advantage is going to show itself and Brad's going to be able to snap all 3 of them in half, man. And I think you got to go with the advantage of that.
Hey, man, but you can't discount the wiry mentality that Aponte comes with, man.
Well, the cheater mentality, getting it done. I always believe if I ever get into it,
there's no rules in fighting, man.
No, again, if I get into a fight, I have to assume that you are trying to kill me. That's it. I don't know you. You're trying to kill me. What you mean? I'm not gonna let you kill me. I gotta get home. If it's you or me, it's always gonna be me.
Self-defense.
If it's always you, it's gonna be me. All right. 3 bats. All right. Now. All right. Now. You would have to show off your offensive line skills and be able to.
I think this evens the playing field.
Oh yeah, sure. Now it's even. But Brads would have to be able to use their offensive line skill to push one Aponte away, get the other one. You know what I'm saying? Move one guy.
Strategy. We
go
all
for it.
Go back to back like a triangle. And we say,
and just draw everybody in.
Just draw everyone in, and we make sure that we got our backs covered so we can't get jumped, and we just keep everything in front of us. We use those offensive line skills to just throw hands. That would be the strategy right there. With 5 wiry, towering Apontes coming at me with who knows what. That would be the ideal formation. Little triangle.
The hard part is any punches that would land on Brad probably don't do the job, right?
Well,
all right. Look,
you're a resourceful guy. So.
No, but what I'm saying is, all right. If you catch somebody in the right spot and they turn and they're leaning into your punch and you drill them, they're done. They're out. It doesn't matter who.
You just got to catch them.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like for this one, I feel like you'll see it all come in. It'll take a little bit more of that or whatever. But yeah, I'm still going to line up with the guy who's played actual football, has offensive line wherewithal in terms of,
close contact fighting,
and you face stunts and all sorts of things that defensive lines have thrown at you that have been faster than anything that you're gonna see. But yeah, again, if I get into a fight, I have to assume that other person is trying to kill me, and I'm not leaving until I can able to get home. So yeah, as long as no beards are harmed in this fight is crazy.
That's a great one. That's a great one. I'm kind of off topic though, but in all seriousness, like playing offensive line for so many years, I now feel like I have this like superpower reflex when it comes
Yep.
to like things happening in a close space, like catching a kid, drop like it's
Yeah.
like sometimes I'll do something without thinking about it. I'm like, how the hell did I just do that? Because
Yeah.
it's pure reflex. And when you look at offensive line play, a lot of it is reflex. You have to be able to see what's happening. Obviously, they're trying to show one thing, they come do another thing, and it changes the entire situation. And a lot of it's just reaction, man. It's crazy.
Dark Willow says, no touching of the hair and face. That's an incredible Anchorman reference. I was going to go Step Brothers. Could Brad beat up a whole playground full of kids? Like if it was 10, if it was right, yeah, exactly. I got a belly full of white dog crap, and now you lay this on me. That could Brad beat up? Could Brad beat up a bunch of kids? I think that's the better discussion because I think those kids are like a bunch of spider monkeys, and they'd be like moving around too quickly for you.
I mean, I got a gang of kids, and when they get it in their minds that we attack at one time, it can be challenging. Again, strength in numbers, right? So it's like, hey, you get the right mentality of crazy ass little kids coming at you, they could get you. You could be just like Will Ferrell.
he's like, you're really scared of all these kids. He tells the one kid, he's like, I'm not licking any dogs. The one guy said that his boy's like, I'll lick it if you leave us alone.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's new. I like the direction of that one. That was
hey, this is what you come here for. You come here for high quality football analysis and Anchorman and Step Brothers references. Like I'm glad that we're delivering right now on this one.
100%. We got another one from JP Howard. Says, what would a 49er win look like? How could we lose?
The 49ers would have to turn the football over, not play smart football, have little, coverage bust, things like that, I feel. And I feel like I could say that any week that they line up with anybody. I think with the New York Jets, what you're looking at is they have a revamped offensive line. It is not going to put them in the top 5 offensive lines, but it's certainly better. And then you look at the weapons. Obviously, Garrett Wilson's a dog. Mike Williams is somebody that they're going to contend with down the field, and Conklin's somebody they throw the football to. Brees is one of the better running backs in football. I just think we kind of just assume that Aaron Rodgers is going to be Aaron Rodgers off the rip. And I think it's hard to bet against Aaron Rodgers coming back and being that guy. But are we certain? Are we certain of that? And if you look at the 49ers, even without Dre Greenlaw and all the things that have happened in this offseason, they still walk onto the field as a better team. With an extra day of preparation. I think this isn't going to be a flashy win. Like, they're not going to score 38 on the Jets. But the 49ers would have to largely beat themselves in this one. Because if they're outmatched by the Jets, then we've got to have a bigger conversation, even if we're just overreacting to week 1. But I just don't see that happening, Brad.
Yeah, I feel like the Jets are walking into a buzzsaw.
Not only
with the team, but I think the stadium fans are going to be ravenous. I really do. Yeah. I think they're walking into a literal buzzsaw. It's going to be challenging for them.
I'm glad we're talking football because the chat's lit and they're doing Anchorman. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but I'm gonna kick you repeatedly in the balls, Gardaki. That's what Step Brothers, my bad. They go back and they whip all those kids' asses like insanely.
Oh my god, so good. We got another continuation. 5 Brads and 5 Apontes for 4 Trent Williams.
I don't want in on that. At all. No. Yeah, no. I see 1 Trent Williams over running the other way, let alone 4. Sorry, man. 10 of us ain't taking 4 of those guys down. Sorry, man.
I think 1 Trent Williams could beat 5 Brads and 5 Apontes.
I don't want to test that theory.
I don't want to test it either, man. That dude's a different animal. No, he would take an Aponte and he'd beat the rest of us down with the Aponte. Like,
because I'm that skinny. He's right. Because I'm that skinny.
Hulk scene where it's like,
yeah,
he would just,
yeah,
you
because
take
I'm that
two of
skinny.
you.
He's absolutely right, because I'm that slim. Absolutely right. He would literally beat all of us to death with me.
He would grab you and he'd
Yeah,
use you as a weapon, like he did the Cardinals defender when he used him to block the other one. Like you don't want to go.
He'd take one Aponte and just
fighting issues.
He'd take one Aponte and use it as a bowling ball. We'd all drop like pins. Like, my goodness, man, I don't want to think about that. Mumbo, what's up, man? Like, you all right. Oh, there's another good one. This is a good one. All right, this is football. All right.
Yeah, 49ers biggest threat in the Super Bowl this year.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but
the Kansas
it's
City.
them until it's not.
Someone has to stop them first. Someone has to stop them first. And it's funny because I wrote about an article that came out on NFL.com, and they asked a lot of their on-air talent and writers, to predict the Super Bowl. And obviously the Chiefs were the number one, pick with 9 votes. The Niners were second with 5. And there was 2 of them that said it was going to be 49ers Bengals, and that the Bengals are going to be the one to put the Dragon down. And I think if the 49ers get out on the other side and it's anybody but the Chiefs, then we can really start, really getting excited. But yeah, it's got to be the Chiefs, man, until it's not.
How about this?
Yeah.
Biggest threat to the 49ers Super Bowl in the NFC.
Detroit.
So that takes away
Detroit. Not the Eagles. In the same way that I can't see myself ever predicting a win over the Kansas City Chiefs, I would never predict the Dallas Cowboys are ever going to do anything to the San Francisco 49ers because we haven't seen it.
No,
and they're
I'm
not
worried. I'm not
not worried about them. So we can get Dallas out. We can get the Eagles out. Seattle, no thank you. It's Detroit. Green Bay is the one that I feel is the most annoying. And what I mean by that is, I don't mean annoying in terms of like, can the 49ers beat them? Is there's a lot of D-riding, because I'm trying not to curse, with the Packers, right? And it's like, hey, yeah, you're excited about Jordan Love. You're excited about the prospects of them having a young quarterback and, him progressing. But the Green Bay Packers ain't beat the San Francisco 49ers since CJ Beathard started in Green Bay. Hold on. Aaron Rodgers was the MVP there for many years. Now, I'm supposed to be scared of the Green Bay Packers because Jordan Love is ascending and he played well at the end of the year. Now, I've got to be, oh no, it's Jordan. It was Aaron Rodgers before. Come on, Aaron Rodgers couldn't get it done. Now, I need to be scared because it's Jordan Love. That's the part with the Green Bay Packers that's funny to me. Now, is it possible that Jordan Love takes the steps that everybody thinks he will? Fine. But is he going to reach the heights that Aaron Rodgers met? And that one year that, the 49ers defense, with the punt return in the divisional game, the Packers had a number 1 defense that year. So their defense isn't as good as those years. Jordan Love can be good, but he's never going to touch Aaron Rodgers in terms of how he throws the football. And now I'm supposed to be scared. I don't get that part, Brad. I don't really get that part. That's the part that I really don't understand.
I don't know why we would be scared of the Green Bay Packers either. So I definitely agree with that. But to counter, if I had to say biggest threat, I probably would say Green Bay. Green Bay, it's between Green Bay or it's between the Lions. And the reason why I'm tilting towards Green Bay is because I think as a team, they've gotten better. I think obviously Jordan Love will be heading into year 2. There's a lot of hype behind Jordan Love, and I'm cautious with him, even from a fantasy perspective. Because we always want to know, what does the follow-up year look like? And we know he struggled in the beginning, got hot at the end. Is he going to be able to maintain that momentum? Does he cool off? Something that I want to keep an eye on. But they add Josh Jacobs, who I think is going to be a much better kind of 3-down back for them. I think Christian Watson's going to be healthy. on top with Romeo Dobbs and Jaden Reed heading into year 2. Should have a healthy Musgrave and Kraft. They added Josh Morgan as their guard, Zach Tom, one of my favorite offensive linemen in the league, at right tackle. And then you look at their defensive side. They added Xavier McKinney at safety. They bring in Javon Bullard, Jair Alexander, Eric Stokes, Keyshawn Nixon. You know, they got Quay Walker. They got Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark, Preston Smith. So I would say from like a team perspective, they're a pretty strong team. So they're a team that to me looks like a threat, because if that team gets hot, that's a team where they could, one, put up a lot of points, and two, play stout defense if they perform to their highest level. Whereas obviously with Goff, we know the key to Goff. We know pressure.
Okay.
Pressure, disguise, right? We can kind of manipulate him a little bit. Now, he played really well in the NFC Championship game, right?
He did.
But they got him with a disguised look at the end. So I do think they're both threats, right? I'm just looking at Green Bay as potentially taking a step.
Respectfully, Brad, and you know I'm not going to disagree with you a lot. Respectfully, the improvements that the Green Bay Packers made don't move me. And LaFleur is still the protege. And Kyle knows how to get him, right? And Jordan Love did play well. I saw someone in the comments say, "Well, he cooked Dallas." Has it ever thought to anybody that Dallas really sucks and they're not good?
They just kind of wet the bed when it's.
They kind of just do what they do all the time. They kind of do what they do all the time. They beat up on the NFC East. They beat up on the teams that have trash records. They go to Buffalo, get washed. They go to the playoffs, lose to Green Bay. They come to see the San Francisco 49ers. They get their ass beat. So I don't care if they beat the Dallas Cowboys. That don't move me either. And yes, not going to lie, they had us in the first half with the Green Bay game. My problem is with the Lions is this. They get Carlton Davis on a trade. They draft very well at corner, which is the things that they're really worried about. Yes. And they didn't lose that game because of Jared Goff. Now, let's do the knowledge, right? Jared Goff on 4th down threw a ball right into Josh Reynolds' chest.
Dropped it. Jahmyr Gibbs fumble. Going for it on 4th down when you should have taken the field goal for that one time. So like, if you want to point to the Lions and say, I don't believe in them because their coaching hasn't been there, okay. But if they flip their decisions, right? Like if they flip their decisions and they go for it at the end of the second half, like right, like end of the first half before the second half, and they score, then oh my God, the 49ers have to come back for more. They took a field goal there. When they should have taken the field goal was on the other side on 4th down, you know, and on their side, and they missed the field goal. So they missed the field goal. They had dropped passes. No, it's the referees. It's cool. But for me, the Lions feel like the team that, and let's take it a step further. I think we all agree that the Lions are going to be a top 1, 2, 3 seed. Let's just say, for argument's sake, the 49ers are number 1, they're 2, and the Packers are 3. That means they don't got to travel anywhere until they face San Francisco, and it's not cold in San Francisco. And they've beaten the Packers in Green Bay. They walked in there and whipped their ass. So for me, it's the Lions. Like, all of those things that you presented about the Packers makes a ton of sense. And Xavier McKinney's a dog, and they have those guys. Who's their coordinator? Can he be beat? What's going to happen down the stretch, right? Now, the Lions have those same questions, but the Lions, for me, are just a better team all the way around. If they get anything from Jameson Williams this year, anything in terms of wide receiver production, they're really gonna be scary, man. So yeah. Do you have any Jameson Williams?
I took him with my last pick in like 2 of the draft. Yeah, so I'm just kind of in the weeds, just seeing what happens. But no, look,
Did you say he's one of the biggest boomer busts fantasy guys this year?
I don't think he is. I think a lot of people are putting their stock in other guys that are really gonna like possibly blow up in their faces, like Devon Achan. Like that's somebody who you think
Ooh,
that like immediately is
I'm
like, yeah, like that's tough. That's tough to go with right there in the second round. It can be advantageous or it could not be.
In the backfield, it would be different, but he doesn't, and that's scary.
Right. I think there's other guys that I'm like. Jameson Williams feels like a low risk, high reward guy.
Yeah. I saw this one earlier. This fantasy segment needs to stay weekly on Stay of the Franchise.
Yeah, I'm with it. I'm with it.
Yeah,
I mean, send the questions. You know, if you have
and every
questions.
show, we'll open it up, fantasy questions, and we'll just talk about it like this. Also gives us an opportunity to talk about the rest of the league and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I like that. That's a good idea. So that may be implemented because as you can see,
shout out to Sleeper. We only play
this
on
guy.
Sleeper.
Oh, what?
Well,
we
only play on Sleeper.
Gun. You know what? Sleeper and the Packers over what was it? Underdog and the Lions.
Hey, stop talking about my dog Underdog, man. Leave them out of this, man. I play on Sleeper though. I play season long on Sleeper though. I do higher lower on Underdog. That's it, man.
Well, yeah. Hey, we get it.
We ain't gotta be beefing.
We ain't gotta beef. Mumbo says, do you think BA will be rusty like
I think he meant to say Bosa.
Bosa?
Like Bosa. I think he meant to say Bosa. I think for sure there's a path to that happening. And by rusty, it doesn't mean that he's not going to be fast, out of his break, everything. Just I think what you mean by rusty is up to speed with what they're installing. Look, the 49ers install is largely the same. A lot, right? Like, but they always add in the new things. And they always add in little stuff. The speed motion stuff is taking over. A lot of things that they install, like that they, they'll have the look where they'll have, possibly Christian McCaffrey on the field and Deebo in the backfield, like those little wrinkles. And then, you don't know what they're implementing, like with Cowing on the field. I wouldn't say rusty with route running. I would say rusty being up to speed. I think
timing, basically.
Yeah, and just like how these plays are supposed to be run. Obviously they just have a few days of getting this done. They're probably going to have a walkthrough soon. I wouldn't say rusty. And to be fair, it's funny because Nick Bosa didn't notch his first sack until week 3 against the New York Giants. And last season, he put up his most pressures in any season ever. And he had 12 in the Super Bowl, right? Like, and we look at the sack numbers and we're like, damn, 10.5, that's not enough. Sure, it's fine to hear Nick say, I wasn't up to speed all the way. But man, imagine what he looks like with a full training camp and everything as well too. I wouldn't say rusty from the like route running fact. I would say up to speed, timing plays, little things like that. You may not see him as involved in week 1 as usual, just based on that.
J10 says Jason is positive these days.
I'm always positive, man.
I don't notice a difference.
I love positivity. Hey, you know what's crazy is like I'll send out a positive tweet and people be like, "You're a moron." I'm just like, "All right, man. Like you're just miserable. Like people are just awful, man." It's just like, hey, look. Again, we're talking about football. It's week 1. We have a game on Monday. I'm having a blast. I've been waiting for this all summer, man. And I need structure back in my life. I can't just be outside all summer acting up. I need to be in the crib doing things, being productive, and that's what football gives me. The structure I desperately crave and need.
You desperately need. Yeah, man, I think that goes for everything though. That's why you just got to be yourself on this stuff, man. Like people are going to judge you one way or the other. They're going to comment on you one way or the other. Whatever, man. Just I'm going to do me, you do you. You don't like me, we go different directions. That's it. So with everything 49ers related, football related, I yesterday to me felt like we finally closed the off season. That's what it felt like.
Oh yeah, doors closed.
Yeah, it felt like it was like wait a second, we have football this week because I feel like we haven't been able to focus on football because of the lingering things. And it was like I was finishing my Trent Williams live after you signing. I was like, wow, I actually feel a wave of closure coming over me that I'm like, we're not going to have to talk about this stuff anymore. We're not going to have to be, updating our phones and looking at notifications. Like, did we sign someone? Did someone get
Mhm.
traded? What's next? What's the next drama to pop up? And it just feels like we're good with Ricky. We're good with Trent. We're good with BA. We're good with everyone else. There's no lingering things. Football.
Yeah.
Football's back.
Yeah.
Feels good. Feels great.
Yeah. And again, we'll react to week one accordingly. Sure, there'll be overreactions. Week one, for the most part, is an extension of the preseason as well, too. A lot of teams will stumble out the gate. That's why
4 weeks are the extension of the preseason.
And that's why I say teams don't play their best football until like week 4, week 5. And if you want an example of how crazy week one can get, Aaron Rodgers played 4 snaps last season for the New York Jets, tore his Achilles, and then the Jets beat the Buffalo Bills after that with Zach Wilson on Monday Night Football.
Right.
Things tend to be a little bit crazy in week one. You shouldn't jump to any conclusions, but I think it would behoove this team and also us as content creators to get up to a really good start and have a nice win on Monday Night Football so we can and let's talk about it. The 49ers have a short week of travel and head to Minnesota, where I feel, Brad Graham, and I think the numbers would bear this out. And again, this is just a vibe and just a hunch. The 49ers haven't won in Minnesota, I probably think not my entire life. Because I have the memory.
Actually,
I have the memory of Brett Favre throwing that stupid pass at the back of the end zone or whatever. At the end of the game with Greg Lewis or whatever, and somehow winning that game. I have the memory of Jimmy Garoppolo in 2018 going out there throwing the football to Dante Pettis in the corner of the end zone, but still throwing a pick six and throwing 3 interceptions and the 49ers lose. I have the memory of Kirk Cousins winning a primetime Monday Night Football game without Justin Jefferson last year, regardless if the 49ers didn't have Deebo or Trent. Now, am I scared to death of the fact that Sam Darnold could continue this, like, Miami, this Minnesota, bad streak? But if you're talking about games that are like you have no way of wrapping your head around how the 49ers lose, how could that not be one of them?
Trap game?
Not a trap game. It's just you haven't won there forever. And, I love when people are like, well, we didn't have Trent and we didn't have Deebo. That's fine. The Minnesota Vikings were playing a game with Kirk Cousins starting a primetime game and Justin Jefferson wasn't there.
Yeah.
And they lost. So how am I supposed to go into this Minnesota game thinking, easy peasy as Sam Darnold? Wouldn't it be so Minnesota for Sam Darnold to kick up in that one game and find a way to knock us off? That would send me into more of a tizzy than a week 1 loss.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
That's a lot, right? Like I just went back, but I went back and I did the knowledge though. Like I'm telling you about the Brett Favre game and obviously the 2018 game and then last year's game.
Last year, I was at that game.
Right.
Oh boy,
we just don't win in Minnesota. I don't know. And like, if you look, every time the 49ers are on the schedule against another team, you can easily make the case that the 49ers are better than them. In other cases, more than others. But there's always those games that you have no rhyme or reason for losing. And it's the NFL. It happens. But that damn Vikings game is the one that I just keep looking like, this better not continue. Like, that has to be circled. Like, you have to get this one off your back, man, because you haven't won there. I feel like in my entire life, man, I feel like they haven't gone in there and won any game, like, ever.
Yeah. Last year was one of the most watching that defensive performance back literally made me sick.
And by the way, speaking of that, at the half, 0 blitz, throw that it should have been an interception, Jordan Addison touchdown. Losomehow the Vikings find a way to win that game. I remember
logging the first downs that were given up and how they were given up and how it was just like they're playing soft zone, either soft coverage, like off coverage, or soft zone shells, and it was just like they were playing beyond the sticks, like they were playing at 10-yard depth when they needed to play at 7-yard depth, and it was like, what's happening here?
Why are you doing that?
I was like, what? I was like, I've never seen this. Like, it was a very infuriating
Look
tape
at
to
that.
watch.
Sam Fisher
What?
said the last time the 49ers have won in Minnesota was
Wow,
1992.
good info.
That is such a good pull. So I'm not tripping because I feel like they've never won there.
Yeah, that's crazy. Jeez. So hopefully, yeah, that changes. We changed some things there, but this it's gonna be a fun season. It's gonna be an eventful one, as it always
is. It gonna be fun? Is it
I
gonna be
think
fun?
so. I'm trying to keep a brave face on, and
I feel like 49er fans were always that that meme of the girl who was in that like MMA fight and her face is all like bloodied and bruised. I mean, she was just like, I had a great time, you know, I had a lot of fun. And I'm just like, literally, that's us.
it's like over here. We just went out there, had a good time.
She just went out there, we had a lot of fun. She's like, her eyes black and closed, and the other, she's just like bleeding from like everywhere. She's like, I had a lot of fun. That's us. It's us.
It was like I posted at Spider-Man
right,
meme.
Right, the one of like him like with like everything across and like us making it
apart, like we're ready to go for the season.
But Liam's right though. Every NFL season is fun, and I wouldn't have it any other way, man. Like we only get a certain amount of weeks of this, so one way, yeah. I mean, please, I'd rather go through it with with any football than no football. So yeah, 100%. He's right.
I would say if we're gonna simplify it, keys to 49er success is health. That's just staying healthy.
I got an easier one. I feel like if the 49ers outscore all their opponents, they'll have a very good shot at winning many games. And I think that is something that we haven't talked about, and I think it's something that is being overlooked. If the 49ers outscore their opponents, they have a great chance to win every single game that they do that. And I think that should be the focus, is score more points than the other team. That's just my opinion.
I have another one too. I think if the defense they just really make sure that the team they're playing against doesn't score more points than their offense, I think they have a really good chance to win as well.
This type of insight cannot be bought anywhere. Like at this point right now. Like again, man, if you're a general manager, I would simply draft all of the best players. If I was an offensive coordinator, all my plays would lead to touchdowns. If I was a head coach, my team would win every single game, man. Like I think we've kind of overcomplicated how simple football can be.
It's really simple. Simple game. If I was an offensive lineman, I would never hold. That's just how it goes, right? But
I would never commit any penalties, and if I was a wide receiver, I'd catch all my passes and run them in for touchdowns. Like these are the ways that you win football games, right? I hope everybody's getting the humor through this. Like, it's like, because I can't wait for somebody to be in my YouTube comments and be like, hey, I can't believe you said something so stupid. That's all I ever hear. Like when I read like a crazy YouTube comment, it's just, I'm just like, all right, blood. Like whatever you say, man. You got it.
My favorite is when people tell me to stop posting about something. And I'm like, dude, you don't have to watch. You have freedom of choice. Like,
just keep it walking. Just keep it moving.
Skirt. Like,
keep it moving.
You don't have to watch this.
No. Look, the best example is this. I sent out a tweet saying, I think at this point, the only thing that's really important is that Ricky Pearsall is safe and everything is and bro, the comments. Oh, really? I can't believe it. Yeah, I was like, bro, it was literally a cookie cutter.
At
like,
or at the
and me. Oh, you're why this country. Blah, 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 blah. I was like, oh my god, man. I was like, Jesus. I literally said,
I can't say anything on any platform without.
I literally said, I hope the young man is fine and recovers well. And somehow you turn that into being angry and yelling at me and turning it into something that is not at all. It's a microcosm of what social media and thoughts are. If someone hates you, they're just gonna. It doesn't matter what you say. They're just gonna be like, "Oh, what an idiot!" Like that's always what it is.
It's not funny. I'm only laughing because that's.
You have to laugh. It's exactly what Leon Sandcastle said. It's those South Park characters. That's all I ever hear when when I see a nonsense paragraph come through my YouTube channel or I'm just like, I'm not reading all that, blood. Like I'm sorry that happened to you, and or I hope it gets better. Like I don't get why something as simple as that could be misconstrued into any other form or fashion. It's just insane to me.
Yeah. That's wait, super chat. We gotta actually ask about it.
Kyle throws a 20-yard touchdown to Brock Purdy. Damn. If there's a betting odd on that, I think you would only have to put like probably 75 cents on it for it to cash out like $349,000. So I hope it's out there because that's a low risk, high reward.
That could happen in practice.
Kyle,
sure.
Yo, imagine I'll do it my damn self, man. He gets it. He wants to run a reverse where he just takes it and he just chucks it down back to Brock Purdy, man. Hey. At this point, why not, Kyle? You know it all, right? Like, you know exactly what needs to be done, and go do it, man. Go do it.
It would feel like a scene out of a movie where it's like, I'm going to do it my damn self. You know, gets out there all confident,
right?
Like he's going to do it, and then just gets clobbered and immediately gets his head ripped off by some.
Like the towel boy and water boy. Yeah, exactly. After they find the water boy, they bring the towel boy out, he gets clotheslined.
I'll handle this myself. like, I don't know why that image just popped into
You think Kyle gets so fed up where he's just like, I'm running out there. I don't care, man. Watch out.
I bet he would do that from a
wide he meant use check.
Are they talking about Juice or Shanahan?
He's talking about Juice. He's obviously not talking about Shanahan. We turned it into a comedy bit saying it was Shanahan or whatever, which I think would be way more electric, but I do think he means Juice.
I preferred it better when we were talking about Shanahan. I'm not
100%, but that is way more believable that it could be him. But imagine just like Kyle just like, give me the damn helmet. He just like rips it off somebody and just gets out there.
Honestly, ooh. So you heard about the double end arounds, right?
Yes.
Training camp.
Yeah.
So Brock found.
Are you sure you should be saying that, or are they gonna shut you down for?
What are they gonna do? Take my credential? So it was like a double end around, and Brock finds himself like as the leading blocker. What if the guy on the double flipped it to Brock for like a touchdown? Ooh.
Yeah. All right. Here's what I want them to do. And we've seen it in Cleveland because there's that play when Kyle was the offensive coordinator with him talking to Johnny Manziel on the field or whatever. And then like his back is turned and then he's like, go, go, go. And they just throw it down to him, you know, like where's the creativity there, man? Like let's get your guy, a catch or something like that. You know, like I think there's something like that.
It could happen. We'll see. A lot of people were speculating about some Purdy magic that could be cooking up, but I don't know. Would Kyle pull that? I think he would only do something like that in what do you do in a big moment? Like the Philly special? Do you think?
Yeah, Philly. Like that's the thing is and also it goes to show you what he thought of Manziel because he was the backup. So he had Hoyer on the field throw him that pass because he was like, I'm not risking my quarterback one to catch the pass. He was like, if he gets hit, then whatever, I don't care. But yeah, that sort of creativity, that sort of like little stuff. Like, let's have some fun.
We really went into a season with Brian Hoyer as our starting quarterback. That really happened.
I love that for us. It was so fun.
I'm not gonna lie, I bought it. I saw him at
training camp.
Was cooking in training camp. Yeah. He was cooking. He was hitting everything. And I was like, who is this guy? Like literally hitting every pass, like looking surgical. And then the lights came on and he turned back into a pumpkin. I was like, oh.
Or he turned back into Brian Hoyer.
Or it just was Brian Hoyer.
Yeah. I think, that move is clearly like, and for the people asking, Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye from the Avengers. But that had to feel like a placeholder thing, like where you were just kind of, finding your way. I think.
I think that they weren't in any hurry to find a franchise quarterback in year one, like clearly. Right. So
or scout anybody else, but that's a conversation for another day.
Oh, good times. But hey, we got our guy, right?
Yes.
Some things it takes a roundabout way for things to happen. 49ers find Brock Purdy at the bottom of the trash heap and brings this franchise back to what we have expected it to be.
Of all the offseason drama, and trust me, it's been frustrating. It has been an absolute relief to know that we've got a guy and we're fine, and we don't have to worry about this. That's the part that I'm not taking that part for granted at all.
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest winners of the offseason was Brock Purdy because everyone stopped talking about him. It was like the first time in his career I think he got a little break, like from like obviously people would still take their shots and he would become a point of some discussion, but there was a point where it was like Brock was damn near the number one topic no matter where you go because it was a polarizing either you hate him or you love him. He's not good, he's great. So it made for a great talk show, sports show conversation because all you got to do is say, hey, you point out the reasons why you don't think Brock's good. I'll point out the reasons why I think he's good. And boom, we got everyone rabble about whatever the heck we say one way or the other. Right. So I think the drama kind of took the spotlight off of the quarterback, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think that's actually a great thing because that kid's been under a spotlight since he came in against the Dolphins. And so it's probably nice to have a little bit of that spotlight shared somewhere else.
Right. And the other thing is, yeah, it was stressful, like, worrying about Brandon Aiyuk and Trent, and then obviously this unfortunate situation with Ricky Pearsall. But I don't think there's ever been a larger division within the fan base and within, content creators and how they put out their stuff was when the quarterback was the hot button, right?
Brock versus Trey.
Or Trey and Jimmy, or Trey and Jimmy, or Jimmy and anybody.
I thought it was the worst with Trey and Brock. I thought that was the worst.
Well, but remember, yeah. Trey broke his ankle, and then obviously the next year, whoever came back and was feeling that way, I think we all wanted to see him get a shot, but I don't think anybody was just like, oh yeah, I know for a fact he's better than Brock. Right. The point of contention continued to be the quarterback position. After you draft Trey at 3, play him right now, start him right now, let's see, and then
the right move, even
and you have the Jimmy people, how can you get rid of somebody who's won this many games? And then, Jimmy finds his way back and you're like, oh, it's so happy. And then, all that stuff going on. And then finally, it gets put to bed with Brock and they make the decision to move Trey to Dallas. But I think the biggest division, it wouldn't be between the Brandon Aiyuk, Trent Williams thing. It wouldn't be with any of that stuff. It would always be about what side you were on with the quarterback. And I think that will always be the splintering portion to where people were really going at people's necks, obviously doxing people and inviting people to pull up and fight and stuff like that. That's when I felt like it was really something different. The quarterback stuff is different. It charged people up. Yeah. It charged people up to a point. Even the number 3 overall pick when we got it early. That charged people up to a rate that you never seen. When it has to do with the quarterback, that's when you usually see the craziest stuff happen. And the craziest
Mac Jones at 3. I'm not gonna lie.
Mac Jones at 3. We fought back at that, right? And who everybody wanted, and Mac's the most pro ready, and they didn't know what they meant. That Mac's the most pro ready to sell cars in Jacksonville. Pro AMs and stuff like that. It's just hilarious to me that was something that was thought and said. The 49ers need to take Mac Jones because he's the most pro-ready. And now that man's selling cars in Jacksonville. It's crazy how things work out. So, yeah.
It's crazy how everyone not named Trevor Lawrence that we thought was the greatest draft class of them all is backups.
And Davis Mills is back with Houston.
I saw that. News.
So Davis Mills is still there. And it says Jason Aponte is 6'5". Yes, I am, unfortunately. For no reason.
6'6" on good days.
Hey, if I let the hair get up, maybe a little bit more, but yeah, definitely.
You might even say 6'7" with the hair.
Hey, every inch matters. All right, I think we're all we're like all the way.
Let's wrap it up. All right, so we're excited because obviously we got football back. The off-season drama is behind us. We can focus on what's going to be happening here in the future, and that's a good spot to be in. Since it's Wednesday, you got any other things cooking up this week?
Just Niners Nation, I just put out a poll about who should be the 49ers kick returner. I think that's a good conversation to be had. I think we all would have thought it was going to be Isaac Guerrero, but he's injured. unfortunately. So it's going to be Jordan Mason, but I would hesitate with Jordan Mason excelling in that role because I would like to see him get more run as a running back. So you guys go on there, vote. We put out all the people for you to vote for. And yeah, like I'll have betting props, things like that Friday, out on Niners Nation. So every day look out for new articles on there. Sprint Right Option is coming back. We're back, man. We're in the seat. I think, if I'm not mistaken, tomorrow, Peacock and Aponte, and then I will have Dr. Narav Panja on the channel on Friday to talk about the severity of all 49ers injuries. So you don't want to miss that because he has such good info. So yeah, a lot of stuff cooking. So subscribe to the channel with that notification bell, man. We're back. The content is not stopping right now because we actually have football to talk about.
I can't believe I'm going to be in a football stadium watching 49ers play this week, and I can't wait to get into that environment. It's going to be a lot of fun to kind of get back into the groove of the NFL season. So definitely they kept us busy this offseason, that's for sure. When at one point it felt like it might be kind of a dead offseason. They said, not so fast, bucko. But it's over with, and we got some stuff to talk about that is not contract drama related, which is a good spot to be in. So you guys already know I'll be doing the same stuff per usual. Keep an eye out for a ticket giveaway to the Jets 49ers game this week. I'm going to be posting that on the channel here pretty soon, so keep an eye out for that. Throw notifications on so you don't miss it. Give you a chance to enter in to get Monday Night Football tickets to the Jets versus 49ers, all that good stuff. So appreciate everyone, as always, for tapping in. Grab your cookies on the way out. That's it for the State of the Franchise. We out. That's Jason Aponte. I'm Brad Graham. We're going to get into it all right now.